How's it going? Come on in. Thanks for taking the time to come out today and view my video submission for the Bleed Yellow competition to see the new 2025 Skidoos. My name is Dustin Ehler. I grew up on a small farm outside of Champaign, Illinois. My dad was a hard-working guy, loved to snowmobile, always rode Skidoos, and he did what every other good dad would do and bought his two sons an Arctic Cat kitty cat. I remember the day that my dad brought it home. I was 6, and I almost ran him over 3 times. It didn't take me long, and I outgrew that kitty cat, and I kind of latched on to my mom's 1980 Citation SS and gave it a stamp of my own, and I rode that thing anytime there was a skiff of snow. One day, I was early teens, out riding through the farm field, not far from home, and I came across another guy and his son. He was riding a Skidoo Mach 1, and he stopped me, introduced himself. His name was Jack Murray. Jack was a local farmer that had a young family of his own, and he was looking for ways to provide, an extra income to support his family and also to support the sport that he loved, which was snowmobiling as well. Jack had told me that he had just signed a deal with Skidoo in the fall of 1992 and was going to become a dealer in the 93 selling season. He invited me out to his open house. I graciously accepted the invite like any other teenager would do, and I'll never forget that day as long as I live. I got out to his farm shop, got to see his showroom, all the new 93 Skidoo models. I was in awe. After some small talk with Jack during the open house, he offered me a job. I said, what would you want me to do? He said, well, I need a mechanic. And short of fixing everything that I ever broke myself, which was a lot, I really didn't know much. He assured me it would be fine and put me through Skidoo school. Every day after school, I would come home, get on my Honda 3-wheeler, and ride 2 miles to Jack's house to work in his shop. By 1996, Jack had grown his business to selling 50 new sleds and 50 used sleds every year. We were the closest Skidoo dealership to the equator and also the #1 dealership in the world, #1 in customer service. That evolved to Jack starting his own grass drag track that I helped with, and one Sunday a month, we would get together, have people from all over 3 or 4 states would come down and race in these grass drags. My love for the sport grew and grew and grew, and I ended up taking a liking to snowcross. I also ran the Northwoods Challenge Snowcross Series, or Endurocross Series in 97 and 98, and then I got tired of getting hurt, so I started messing with speed running. I had a Pro Stock 800 Mach Z, I had an 05 Mach Z on nitrous, and that was about, I think it was 2009, my wife came home and told me she was pregnant. We were expecting twins, and they were going to be born in the spring of 2010. My dream and goal was always to have a turbo sled, so I did just that. I built one, raced it one season, and I realized that, things were about to be different for me in my personal life, but I loved the sport and wanted to stay engaged as much as I could. So I was at a race and was approached by a guy that had fallen in love with my 98 Pro Stock Mach Z, and he said, I want that sled. And I said, actually, the sled's not for sale. He said, everything's for sale for the right price. And I said, well, I wouldn't sell it, but I would trade you if you could come up with a 2000 Mach Z Millennium Edition. I always wanted one, always thought they were cool, never had the means to have one. And he explained to me that he actually did have one and it was nice, and he would consider trading me even up. We struck a deal that very next weekend. He drove down from Minnesota, we traded sleds, and I started tinkering with that 2000 Mach Z in the garage. 1 turned to 2, 2 turned into 3, and it leads me to why you guys are here today. So if you've got a couple free minutes, I'd love to take you out and show you my museum. There's about 115 sleds in it. 80 or so are mine. The other 40 or so are a good friend of mine's, Jimmy John, the former sub shop owner. Jimmy's into all brands. I'm predominantly Skidoo. So if you guys have got a minute, let's go out and check them out. Welcome to my museum. So every sled has its own unique story, right? This one's probably one of my favorites. It's one of Jimmy's. I found it for him. It came off the West Coast. It's a 1983 9700 Blizzard. Those of you that are Skidoo enthusiasts know there weren't a lot of them made, and even fewer of them survived. What makes that one extremely special, it is brand new. It has not been ridden. It has never had gas in the tank. It's insane. It's a time capsule. Probably the coolest Skidoo that I know of. But that one is one of my favorites out here. Everyone always asks me what my favorites are. A couple other ones we've got. A good friend of mine was Dave McCann Racing. And he retired from the snowcross series here a couple years ago and offered a couple of his fellow collector buddies some of his sleds. I took an opportunity to buy his 500, and it's a patinaed as race sled. Another one at Jimmy's that is over-the-toply restored is one of his 245 RVs. He's got a couple of them. It's an amazing sled. Everyone loves these. They're timeless. They ran good. They looked good. They sounded even better. Obviously, I'm a big enthusiast of the Mach Zs. So I've got one of every year Mach Z with the exception of 98, 06, and 07. I've owned every year. I'm just kind of refining my collection. I want the nicest ones that I can find. So I've got tabs on got a line on a nice 98. But those of you that remember the 03, there weren't many of them made, approximately 350. They were severely overshadowed in 03, as you remember, when Skidoo was busy doing something else, and that was designing the Rev. The Rev kind of took over the industry and did exactly what it set out to do and revolutionize the industry. But this is my 03, and they go on down in sequential years. This one's another one of my favorites. This is my wife's sled. When we go north, this is what her and my daughter ride. And it's stockish. It's piped. You know, nothing puts a smile on my face more when you hear those two girls pull up and that thing's cackling and making noise and everybody's looking at them like, what in the world is under the hood of that thing? But super cool sled, air ride. They're, you know, creature comforts for days when they're riding that thing. And then obviously, my love has always been the Millennium Editions. Anyone that knows me knows that that's kind of been my passion. And I've had probably 15 or so Millennium Edition Mach Zs. These two are kind of special. This one is serial number 99. This one is 100. They're sequential serial numbers. Once again, for the enthusiasts that know anything about them, there were about 400 US versions made and 400 Canadian versions made. These are both US versions. This one has 300 original miles on it. Then we've got the two 99s. 99 was cool for Mike Cool. He was inducted into the Snowmobile Hall of Fame that year. Skidoo built a sled to commemorate him. First factory snowmobile to have electronic reverse. Super cool, 400 of those made. This one's a nice sled as well. Millennium Edition Summits. Couple really cool Mach Zs. You know, the 97 was a super fast chassis. It had a great ignition system on it. All the racers that were running 809s were running 97 ignition because of the timing curve. This one has got 312 original miles on it. This 96 Mach Z came out of the crate and got turned into an improved stock drag sled. It has got 37 original miles on it. All of those 500 feet at a time. The Consumer Edition Millennium was the MXZ. A few more by Mach Zs. Everybody loves the 93s. You know, if you're a Skidoo collector, you got to have a 93 Mach Z. This one was one of a two-part race team, two-sled race team. And it's original, nice sled as well. The next couple of Mach Zs are really, really, really special to me. This one, you know, I always say that everyone asks me, where do I find my sleds? Where do I shop? How do I come up with them? Well, it's honestly gotten to the point, I don't have to explain this to other collectors, where they find me. So I had a gentleman reach out to me one night, and he had this sled and told me all about it. And I said, yeah, I've already got several of them. He said, yeah, but this one's special. I said, well, what makes it special? He said it's serial number 1. So this is serial number 1, Canadian edition, Mach Z. Super neat sled. I got to get to it on restoration one day, been accumulating some parts. This one here is super cool as well. So I love my 995s. They didn't last long, but when they did, boy, they were a lot of fun. This sled is serial number 1 as well. It was a test sled for Skidoo, test tank sled. When I got it, it had 8,000 miles on it. It had never been on the snow. This sled now has 15,000 miles on it. The rest of those miles I put on myself. I took the engine apart at 14,300 miles, not because it wasn't running, just because I wanted to see why it still was. And I freshened it up, put a few more miles on it, and here it sits. So much fun to ride these things. The 95.5 Form 3, everybody knows those things, Purple Screamers. That one's serial number 3. Got the original Sandcast 600 in it. That's what made those run so good. They atomize fuel like no other. This sled is super cool as well. Everybody remembers the Rev. Skidoo revolutionized the snowmobile industry with the design of this chassis. Never forget the first day I rode one. I was blown away. I felt like a fish out of water the first 5 miles. After that, I was in love. I mean, it's amazing what they did to the snowmobile industry. In 2003, the Cadillac Rev you could buy was an 800X with RER in reverse, and this one is all of that. And what even makes it cooler is it's brand new. It's never been ridden. It's got 0.6 of 1 mile on it, as it did when it came out of the crate. Super cool sled, put away forever. It's dry. I love my F chassis sleds as well. The 93 MXZ, first year for the F chassis. The only two that were made was the Mach Z and the MXZ. This one's been restored to perfection by a good friend of mine in Minnesota. He did 3 of them at one time. I was fortunate enough to buy one off of him. Then you've got the Form Zs. And then the James Bond, you know, the sled that was built to commemorate the movie Die Another Day. There's approximately 1,000 of these made. I had this sled when it was 1 year old, piled miles on it, absolutely love it. Blast to ride, turns a lot of heads, you can't beat them. So another really cool sled that's in here, there's 2 of them actually. So obviously my pal Jimmy sponsored the Boss Racing team several of the years that Elias Ishall was riding. He often looked to me for pointers, you know, racing, asking how I could be faster, and I told him what I could, but obviously he had it figured out on his own. This was his practice sled in 18 and 19. I'll show you his actual race sled here in a minute. I love my PRS chassis Skidoos. What can I say? This one is Jimmy's, his 93 Mach 1. It's original Survivor, pristine sled. And then my 91 Plus X. I'm not a fan of red, but I ride this sled a lot. I probably put 400 or 500 miles on it in the last couple of years. Then we've got one that kind of stands out here. It's a typical Arctic Cat leaking oil on the ground, yeah, whatever. But then you come over here to, this is Elias's actual race sled in 18 and 19. That is the championship sled that won it all. Super fun. They rip, I ride mine. Jimmy hasn't ridden his yet, but I've told him about it, and I think he's wanting to get his out as well. But Jimmy's a big fan of the X sleds also. He has a complete lineup of factory X PRS sleds as well. His 92 just got finished getting restored this week. It's not here right now, but it is done. And then this is a very cool MXZ 700 as well. This sled is brand new, never been ridden. It's had a bunch of extra chrome accents and stuff put on it that weren't original or options from the factory. Somebody took this thing out of the crate, took their time, and really made it bling. So another cool sled is the Elite. These things were super neat. Skidoo made them off and on from, I think, 73 up into the early to mid 80s, then quit for a while, and then came back out in 04, 05. It's got the 1500cc Sea-Doo engine, twin track. These things will run 90. They are an absolute blast on the lake and scary on the trail. But this one's Jimmy's as well. We bought it off of Ron Hallstrom. If you guys got a couple minutes, we'll go on upstairs and look at some of the other sleds. So I'm a big collector of the memorabilia too, especially suits. I've got a little over 100 suits. Most of them are leathers, but I love that kind of stuff. It just, you know, brings me back to the day where you'd see a guy walk out of a bar and he's putting on the new suit to match the new sled. I mean, he was the cool dude that you wanted to emulate, right? Love my MXZs. Skidoo really knocked it out of the park when they made those. In 94 was the first X series that you could buy a kit from the factory. So you had to write a resume, your race resume, to the race department, and if they accepted it, they would ship you a kit, and you could take your consumer edition 94 MXZ and put the X kit on it for the I-500. That sled has got the X kit on it. It was Trackside's dealer demo. It's never been raced. The 95 MXZ is the first sled I ever bought brand new when I was a kid. I was 16 years old. Pretty cool. Love that sled, a lot of fun, great looking sled. And then the 97X, that was the first sled I ever snowcross raced. Super neat. If you guys remember hiking in, flying in the heydays, landing on the helicopter, carrying them. They had crazy cool stuff, like the hood was thinner, the coolant lines were shrunken down, just everything Skidoo could do to save a pound or two. Lost a lawsuit to Arctic Cat for the front shock remote reservoir adjustment. Kind of set everybody back that year in their racing season, but is what it is, and it all worked out well for Skidoo. A couple other vintage sleds I ride a lot. My 79 7500, I restored that sled myself. Rode it, ride with the champs with my buddy Craig Marchbank. Love hanging out with that dude. He's super cool. And then my 83 9700, I put 300 or 400 miles on that thing as well. The 79 9500, you just don't find many of those things anymore, especially in that condition. That's an original Survivor sled also. Then you've got the Tony Heikkinen commemorative edition 99. Those were neat. Skidoo made 400 of those to commemorate him. Another highly decorated racer, super cool dude. And then the Olympic editions, probably arguably the ugliest snowmobile Skidoo ever made, but they're neat in their own way nonetheless. And then this one is special to me. This is the only non-Skidoo that I own. That was my kitty cat when I was a kid. I made it through 2 other owners. I found it back, restored it. That's where it all started. That's how my illness has gotten to where it is today. But we'll head on over to the other side and check some stuff out. First year Mach 1, 89. That's original Survivor, another nice sled. Following year is 90. That sled's got 180 original miles on it. 93. If you don't like the 93 pastel colors, you obviously didn't grow up in that era. That sled's got 400 miles on it. By 94. The 2 single piped 800s, factory single pipe spring order onlys. What's cool about that sled is you saw my 99 Mach Z down below. The same owners, it was husband and wife. This was her sled. They bought them new. I set both those sleds up new out of the crate. They found their way back to me about a year ago. This thing's been meticulously maintained, stored in a climate controlled environment, just the way you like them. These people love their toys and treated them with respect, and it shows. Any of these sleds back along here, these are my pal Jimmy's. This was one of Ron Hallstrom's personal 93 Mach Z. It's a Survivor as well. Beautiful original sled. Can't say enough about it. They're just, those things ooze cool. Then obviously I'm all about the PRS X sleds. This was the limited, kind of a limited deal in 93. Skidoo it was their first attempt at fuel injection, had a Mikuni fuel injection system on it. They didn't work real well. So Skidoo took them all back and turned them back into carbs. This one is original, 400 miles, still has the original fuel injection control module on it. The 93X, 92Xs, so they made 500 of the 93s, 250 of the 92s, Xs, 250 of the 92 Mach 1 Xs. Mach 1 Xs were a little bit of an anomaly as well. They had a different motor in them from the factory, and there was guys, some of the racers had a few problems with them. So they brought them back, set them to 93 specs. This is a 93 kit here. Everything that would have went on a 92X from the factory, when they brought them back, is right there. This is an original 92 engine. Kind of cool. Not many of those left around. Both of them still got the twin pipes on them. And then the 91 MXX, they made, I'm going to say, 140-ish of those. Those were for the I-500. The Karpik brothers designed the rear suspension on that. Didn't work the best, but they were neat sleds. The 91 Plus X, even lower production numbers than the 91 MXX, I believe. Hard to find those in that kind of shape. And then also the 91 Mach 1 X, super cool sled. They had wider front ends on them. All these sleds down here are Jimmy's. He's got a guy, Leon Koch in Crivets, Wisconsin, Koch's Performance. The dude's an artist, man. I mean, he is, he's a perfectionist to say the least. When these sleds show back up from his place, I mean, they're better than they were when they came out of the crate. Jimmy's TNT 340, 440. The RV chassis, everyone loves those. They look cool, they sound cool, and they run really good. A couple of his old moto skis, his 7500 plus. And then Jimmy's got an RV 245. So it was kind of cool. This was a charity build for the Waconia Ride-In that would have been, gotta think back, 2019. So we were asked to help do a charity build to commemorate Skidoo's anniversary that year, and Jimmy ended up this sled out of the auction. It's done over the top too, just a gorgeous sled. Blizzard 5500, a couple of those. Probably one of my favorites for the color scheme is the 81 7500 and the 9500. Those things just look super cool. Run good as well, factory twin pipes. But basically, guys, you know, that's it. I really appreciate your time, taking time to come out today and view why I feel that I am deserving of going on this trip and seeing the new 25 Skidoos, because I do bleed yellow.
Hey there, folks that are doing the Skidoo 2025 ride. This is a note that Dustin Ehler didn't ask me to do. I'm just doing to do it. But I just want you to know that for the last 9 years, he has personally guided me through building my collection, rehabbing my collection, helping me find sleds, working on them, fixing them up, coaching me, making me aware of things for sale. That Blizzard 9700 that's never had fuel in it, never been touched. I mean, we literally came out of the crate. You know, he could have had that sled. He gave it to me. He knew how much I wanted a 9700. And he has also stored my snowmobiles for me in his museum for 9 years. And he just recently helped me design my barn so that I can put my sleds in it. And it's going to be called Leon's Garage in honor of the famous Leon Koch. So anyway, I am a Skidoo man, and I do have a few other brands, but I just can't say enough about Dustin Ehler, and I hope you guys give him a shot. He's worthy of it, man. He's the real deal.
This is Phil with Go Motorsports. Just want to do a video for Dustin. We watched the snowtrax contest, the video describing the contest, and all of us here said, it's a no-brainer. That's Dustin Ehler. They made this contest for him. It's no question. Why do I say that? I'm sure you've seen his video. Obviously, his awesome vintage collection. I want to do a video to make sure you realize that he's got the modern stuff too. 2 years ago, during the pandemic, we had the virtual release of the 2022 models, and we did it here in this showroom. We set up tables and chairs and had the big TV. And Dustin took off work and came, and somehow he knew. He pretty much knew that there was going to be a Mach Z, and he couldn't get the money out of his pocket not fast enough to order that Mach Z. Then last year at in Houston, sitting in the stands for the 24 model release when they did the competition 850 Turbo, I wasn't out of my seat before Dustin was texting me saying he had to have one. So if you're looking for a legend, someone that bleeds yellow, there's no question Dustin's your guy. So you won't regret picking Dustin. Thanks.
I'm doing this competition or this video for Dustin Ehler, promoting him for the I Bleed Yellow competition. This is our Northwood stable. So when we come up and ride, we've got something to ride. But a lot of fun. We can sleep 20 and got room for 16 in the garage. But yeah, Dustin, like he said in his video, started out working for me for the Murray Skidoo shop, and he, at the age of 15, by the time he was 17, he was the shop foreman running the shop and building motors, and that's what he did. We grew really fast, went from 6% market share in 1992 to 76% market share in 1996, 97. Those 2 years we were district dealer of the year and had 100% customer satisfaction rating. 97, we got the U.S. dealer of the year, and a lot of that has to go to Dustin. The way he treated people, the work he did in the shop, the way he got to know about the sleds at a young age, and he excelled. Like he said, we had grass drags every month from June to December, and so we built sleds every day, and so it was fun. We drew people from 3 states, and a lot of the reason is because of Dustin, his knowledge of Skidoo, and how he loved the sport. He blames me for his addiction, to snowmobiling and snowmobiles, but luckily I'll never have to have, 100 snowmobiles sitting in my shop. So, but he's the one that should win the award. If you decide to give it to two people, you can give it to him and I. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Chris Ehler. I'm Dustin Ehler's brother, and I want to do a quick video in support of him for the I Bleed Yellow ride-along, the opportunity to ride the 2025 sleds. As you can see, I am not a snowmobile guy. I'm more of a motorcycle guy, but our family grew up around sleds. Dustin and I had a shared kitty cat when we were young, and then our family graduated into some of the 80 sleds, the Citations, 5500, 7500, 9500 Blizzards, which to me are still some of the sexiest sleds out there. They're just absolutely amazing. It was cool to watch Dustin be a part of something so special with Murray Skidoo, being here in East Central Illinois, away from the power sports areas of Wisconsin, Michigan, the UP, and what that dealership was able to build, being one of the largest, or the largest, Skidoo dealers in the United States. And I think that's a testament to his passion for snowmobiles and that dealership's passion for the community and building something really special. And Dustin was a very integral part of that, being the mechanic. And again, obviously as a motorcycle guy, I had actually bought the first Spider in 2008, number 746, when they did the initial launch of, I believe it was 1,000 or 1,200 of them. And that winter, I knew that thing was special. I mean, it was fast, it was lightning fast. And Dustin had just got done with an MXZ 1200 Renegade turboed sled. And I told him, we're gonna drag these things. So I lined up on the road. He lined up on the grass strip in front of our fields, and yeah, he walked the dog on that Spider with that turboed 1200. He's quite the mechanic and quite the gearhead when it comes to that stuff. He helped me build a snowmobile to my fashion, to my liking. A few years later, we resurrected some. They had to be pre-1990 snowmobiles, and I had an 84 Citation SS with 18-inch ape hangers. Called it the Stiff Mobile, and we would take those out whenever we would get snow and hit a few establishments and have a lot of fun with them. For my bachelor party, he asked me, Chris, what do you want to do? I said, I got a bunch of motorcycle guys, and it's January. Let's go snowmobiling. So I packed up all my biker buddies and we headed north, and when we pulled into their cabin, there were 23 snowmobiles in a half circle. And for the next 2 days, we created carnage, the motorcycle guys did, and it weren't for Dustin being there to bubble gum everything back together. I don't think we would have made it through the weekend. Night one, I took the James Bond 007 sled and sheared the front ski off of it at about 80 miles an hour on a stump, and by the next morning it was already glued back together and ready for service the next day. I really can't say enough about Dustin as the clear and obvious choice for this competition. His museum is a testament to his passion, his love, his commitment to the Skidoo and the Yellow. He truly is a legend within that group. If there's a sled out there that's a Skidoo, he knows where it's at. He knows what it is. He knows who has it. And I think he's the choice, because you're not only going to get someone who bleeds yellow, but has such a deep technical background and can offer some probably really great input and feedback on those 2025 sleds. So with that, appreciate your time, and pick Dustin Ehler.